Alright, welcome everyone to this first leg of the world tour. We'll be flying today from Seattle-Tacoma International Airport to Tieton State, which is just to the southeast, about 69 miles in Washington State. We'll be going past Mount Rainier and beautiful territory, so let's go ahead and hop into the aircraft. I'm going to pull out the sectional chart for us really quickly so we can take a look at that. Courtesy of skyvector.com. Great place to look at if you're trying to find any sort of VFR or instrument charts for your navigational needs. So you can see here we're starting in Seattle-Tacoma. Here's the current weather right now. It's pretty nice weather. Currently 10-mile visibility, scattered 2,500, winds out of the north. It's likely taking off to the north. And then we're heading down to Tieton State, which is right off of Rimrock Lake, just to the south and east of Mount Rainier. So it should be a pretty flight. We'll plan to fly over Ranger Creek Airport, and the sun will be setting behind us during this flight. So let's go ahead and start getting the aircraft set up for departure. Going to go ahead and get that chart out of the way, and we'll pull out our checklist and do our pre-flight inspection. So aircraft documents are checked, parking brake is set, ignition off, avionics switches are off, the battery switch is now on, fuel quantity we should be full, and that's what we're showing on our fuel quantity indicators. Our low fuel left and right enunciators are off, avionics bus switches on, and we hear the avionics cooling fan, I'm going to assume, so we'll turn those back off. Static pressure alternate source valve is off. Enunciator panel tested. Fuel selector is on both. Fuel shutoff valve open. Flaps, put the flaps down. There they go. Pitot heat, we're going to check and make sure that's on and working. I'm looking for a bump here in the ammeter. So, yep, we've got that. Pitot heat's off, battery switch back off, and elevator trim to neutral. We'll set it to the takeoff position. So that's all set up. Alright, before starting engine check, pre-flight inspection complete, seats, belts adjusted and locked, electrical equipment all off, avionics switch bus 1 and bus 2 off, fuel selector both, fuel shutoff valve open, and starting engine checklist. Throttle open 1/4 of an inch. Got that open. Mixture to idle cutoff. Propeller area clear. So we have some people around, but ideal clear prop at this point. Battery master switch on. Oops, not the alternator. Battery, there we go. Beacon on. Mixture rich. Aux fuel pump on for 3 to 5 seconds. And we see a little bit of fuel flow there. There's our 3 seconds, so we'll turn that off. Mixture back to lean. And parking brake still on, and we're going to start the engine. Here we go. Oops. Alright, clean start. I'm going to bring the throttle back to get the RPM to 1,000. Alright, perfect. So mixture rich when engine start, so we did that. Throttle adjust to 1,000 RPM. Oil pressure and temperature in the normal range. Alternator on. Battery's now charging. Ammeters checked. Avionics switches on. Radio's on. Transponder to standby. And flaps up. Heading indicator. Looking at 230 on the magnetic compass, so that's set. Altimeter set. So let's go ahead and pick up the ATIS. So ATIS is 118.0.
Seattle Airport information, India 0200 Zulu. Wind calm. Visibility, tree. Sky condition, few clouds at 600 feet, few clouds at 4,300 feet, few clouds at 12,400 feet.
Huh.
Temperature, 1 tree.
Clouds have moved out.
Dew point, 10. Altimeter tree 0.1 tree. runway tree 4
3013.
center, ILS runway tree 4 right, and ILS runway tree 4 left in use. Landing and departing runway tree 4 center, runway tree 4 right, and runway tree 4 left. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact, you have India.
Okay, so we have India now. Altimeter set to 3013. Attitude indicators set, and after starting engine checklist complete. I'm going to show you our airport diagram, which I have courtesy of Navigraph. So we pull that up here. If this will work. Looks like it's not currently working for whatever reason. Okay, well, anyways, we are down on the south eastern corner of the airport, so we'll be taxiing out to I'll try to do this again. We'll be taxiing out probably to runway 34 right would be my assumption. So let's go ahead and get our, typically we call up clearance to get a clearance out of the class Bravo. They do not simulate that yet on Microsoft Flight Simulator. As you can see, you can only get IFR clearance out of here. So we'll contact ground. We're going to be departing VFR to the east. So let's give them a call.
Seattle ground, Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha, request taxi for east departure with Juliet. Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha, taxi to and hold short of runway tree 4 right via taxiway Bravo. Contact tower on 119.9 when ready. Taxi to and hold short runway tree 4 right via taxiway Bravo, Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha.
Alright, we're going to be taxiing to 34 right via Bravo, and it sounds like Juliet is now current, so we'll listen to that here on COM 2.
Seattle Airport information, Juliet
Cool.
0200 Zulu. Wind calm. Visibility, tree. Sky condition, few clouds at 600 feet, few clouds at 4,300 feet, few clouds at 12,400 feet. Temperature, 1 tree. Dew point, 10. Altimeter tree 0.1 tree. ILS runway tree 4 center, ILS runway tree 4 right, and ILS runway tree 4 left in use. Landing and departing runway tree 4 center, runway tree 4 right, and runway tree 4 left. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short and...
Alright, there we go. We have Juliet now. Yeah, we'll be taxiing straight out Bravo. It'll be a left turn up here to runway 34 right. So we've checked our brakes. They are working. Turn coordinator is working. Heading indicator is working, and magnetic compass is all working. Let's verify that on the taxi check here. Taxi lights on, landing lights off now, strobes on, off right now, navigation lights on, parking brakes released, brakes are tested, rudders checked, turn coordinators checked, heading indicators checked, compass checked. Alright, taxi check complete. Yeah, beautiful view here as the sun's setting out to the west of Seattle. And it'll be a left turn on Bravo. Right here, looks like. See anybody to our left? Okay, here we go. Kind of snakes around, it looks like. Alright, windsock's looking calm, that's good. We'll pull up here into the run-up pad and go ahead and do our run-up checks, make sure our engine's working well before we head out to pretty much the bush. I mean, this Tieton State is just kind of an unimproved strip out by Mount Rainier and the Rimrock Lake. So I chose it as this leg just mostly for scenic purposes. And maybe getting out a little later than I had planned, so it might be a little dark when we're getting there, which could make for some interesting times. But here I'm going to turn us into the wind a little bit and set the parking brake, and we'll go ahead and do our run-up checks here. Alright, so run-up check, parking brake is set. Pilot and passenger seat backs most upright position, seats and belts check secured. Flight controls, we'll check to make sure they're free and correct. Looking good, and yep, free and correct, they're good. Flight instruments are all set. Fuel quantity indicators are checked. Mixture full rich. Fuel selector is both. Autopilot engage. And flight controls move against autopilot. Alright, that's good. Autopilot is now off. Throttle set to 1800 RPM. And we're going to do the mag check now. Hello Jared, thanks for tuning in here. Hope you enjoy the beautiful views here as we climb out of Seattle. Alright, let's do our quick mag check here. So to right, got a little bit of an RPM drop, but not more than 150 back to both, then to the left mag, and no more than a 50 RPM difference between them, so we're good. Vacuum gauge is in the green, oil pressure's good, oil temperature's good, the ammeter is right at 0, and our annunciator panel's clear. So let's check the engine at idle. 6 to 650 RPM, and it's spot on, right at about 650, and it'll go back to 1,000. So run-up checks complete. For takeoff, we have our radios set. Let's go ahead and tune to the tower frequency here of 119.9er, and do not know. Looks like departure is going to be. I think it'll be 125.9, so I'm going to go ahead and set that here. Whenever Pilot Edge is operational here on Flight Sim 2020, I'm going to be using that. But for now, we'll stick with this. The radios are set, avionics are set, nav GPS switch is set, transponder, we're going to put it all the way onto alt. Autopilot's off. Elevator trim is set for takeoff. Flaps, we're going to be 0 degrees out of here. And cabin window is closed, locked. We'll release the parking brake in just a second. So for our takeoff, our flaps is 0, going to full throttle, rich mixture, and we'll be rotating at 55 knots, climbing in at 75 knots. And we are going to have a cruise altitude. Initially we're going to be climbing up to, here let me show you guys this so you can see what I'm looking at here. So on the Sky Vector browser for our chart, you can see our Class Bravo layers here. We're going to level off at 2,500 feet initially until we get past the I guess really the Cawley Airport. We'll be looking for, what is that, Enumclaw in that area. So we'll follow kind of a direct route out toward Ranger Creek 2-1 Whiskey and go from there. And then after we're at Enumclaw, I'm going to climb up to 9,500. That's our plan. So let's go ahead and get our takeoff clearance and get in the air and execute this. See if I can get the Traffic control window, and here we go.
Seattle Tower, Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha, ready for east departure at runway 34 right. Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha, cleared for takeoff runway 34 right, departure to the east approved. Cleared for takeoff runway 34 right, Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha.
Alright, excellent. Here we go. Let's get our landing lights on, strobes, and we're ready to roll. It's clear down the runway to the right. Looks like all the traffic is on the other runway landing. No one's on final. And 3-4 right's on the pavement, so we're going to the correct runway. And 3-4 right's on the pavement. Clear for takeoff. Here we go. Full throttle. Alright, airspeed's alive. There's 55 knots, and we'll rotate and just climb out at around 75 knots. We're going to 2,500 feet initially. Beautiful view out to the west, the sun setting. I don't want to turn over the terminal buildings.
Romeo Alpha, continue for east departure. I will contact you next when you leave my airspace.
Alright.
Seattle Tower, Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha, continue for east departure.
Okay. There's the control tower. Yeah, we definitely don't want to turn right there. The big turbine aircraft is no problem. You're usually going to be well beyond all the buildings before you're getting to this altitude, but you can definitely make the mistake of turning too early in a small plane like this. Yeah, I appreciate all of you watching the stream right now. Like I said, I'm going to try to fly these on Microsoft Flight Simulator and post the events. So if you guys want to join along on the legs around the world, by all means, feel free to. I'm trying to keep each of the legs around an hour or less and flying pretty low and slow so we can enjoy the beautiful scenery that this Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 has. So I'd love to have you all join. Alright, I'm going to head east for a little bit and just get outside of, a little farther away from Seattle, Tacoma International. I'm just going to keep it at about 500 feet per minute in the climb. So it looks like our direct track is going to be about a 112 course right now. I'm going to set that in the heading bug just so we have a general idea of what the direct track to Tieton State is at the moment. There's the
Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha, you are leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved. Seattle Tower, Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha, frequency change.
Alright. Contact approach.
Seattle approach, Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha is type Cessna Skyhawk, 2 miles east of Seattle, 2,000 feet. Request clearance to transition Bravo airspace. Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha, Seattle approach. Squawk 4547.
So I'll try to do this 4, 5, 4, 7.
Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha radar contact 3 miles east of Seattle, 2,200 feet. Cleared through the Bravo airspace. Cleared through the Bravo airspace, Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha.
Alright, well there we go. We're cleared through the Bravo airspace. And let's see, I'll bring up that Sky Vector browser again so we can take a look at it. Looks like, yeah, so if we stay at 2,500 feet, we should be under the Bravo between Auburn and Norman Greer. So I'm going to try to go down between Auburn and Norman Greer there and see if we can't kind of get back on our direct track that we were planning. So let's give that a try. I know Auburn's pretty close to the Seattle-Tacoma airport. Alright, we're back on our original track now according to GPS. There's Auburn just off the nose there. And just a short little runway. I actually got to stay there one time when I was in the Seattle area. It's really cool. You can hang out in a pool. I think it was a Best Western maybe that was right next to the airport. And you can watch the planes as they take off. Really fun place if you're an aviation fan. But I'd like to get back there sometime. Have to see. I think it's going to be fairly dark by the time we get to Tieton State. This could get interesting. Might have to check other options in the area if we're having issues with airport lighting. Wow, they did a great job of just getting this sim set up for some VFR fun. And can't beat these sunset colors. Incredible.
Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha, you are leaving my airspace. Radar service terminated. Squawk 1200. Frequency change approved. Squawk 1200. Frequency change approved. Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha.
Alright, I'm going to request flight following with Seattle here.
Seattle approach Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha is type Cessna Skyhawk 4 miles northwest of Sierra Tree 6. Request flight following. Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha, Seattle approach. Squawk 4353. Squawk 4353 Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha.
Alright, we're squawking 4353.
Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha radar contact 3 miles northwest of Sierra Tree 6, 2,500 feet. Altimeter tree 0.1 tree. Copy Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha.
Alright, great. So we have flight following now. And you can see I have set up in the GPS here. We're going over Ranger Creek first. And that's going to give us a pretty good route through these mountains coming up. I believe these are the Cascade Range. I definitely know that's Mount Rainier down to our south. And wow, does it look incredible. But gonna need I'm a little to the north, of course. I've just been enjoying the view a little too much here. I'm gonna keep us at 2,500 for just a little while longer, because we're out of the Class Bravo airspace. Just want to stay out of the way of all the traffic that's typically in those areas. And try to get this airplane trimmed out a little bit. I might use the autopilot a little later just to give it a try, but I've got to say it feels pretty good flying this by hand so far. somebody flying into Seattle area. Very cool. I'm gonna get this OBS set up. Looking at a direct track, still 112, so set that up. There we go. Keep us on course here. So we're between Sierra 36 and coming up to 9 or 5 Whiskey Alpha. So let's take a look at that on our sectional chart here to figure out where we are in relation to the Class Bravo airspace. So we're looking at, let's see, Sierra 95 Whiskey Alpha. Let's see, Papa Lima uniform. But then Sierra and 3 Bravo 8, but
Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha, contact Seattle approach on 126.5. 126.5 for Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha. Seattle approach, Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha, 2,300 feet. Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha, Seattle approach, continue as planned. Altimeter tree 0.13.
continue as planned. Nice. Alright. Let's use this nearest airport. The Black Diamond, Evergreen Sky Ranch. Okay. So let's look at that. Black Diamond, Evergreen Sky Ranch. Oh, there's Black Diamond. Okay. So we're pretty close to Black Diamond. So we can totally go up to 3,500 now, I believe. Let me check that. Yeah, I agree with you there, Joseph. ATC is pretty, it is kind of rough right now here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. But apparently with this new patch, maybe we can get VATSIM running pretty well with it, and Pilot Edge. I really got to where I love Pilot Edge when I was using it on X-Plane 11. I was thinking about waiting to do this leg until Pilot Edge was working, but I just want to go ahead and get flying.
Alaska 1349er, descend and maintain 5,000 feet.
Alright, looks like on the Garmin here, we're just about outside of the Class Bravo. I'm going to go ahead and start our climb up to 9,500 as we go over the mountains. So here we go. We're going to begin our climb now. And I'll try to get us back on course too. And we're just going to climb out at 70 knots. Looks like I have a little bit of a cloud layer coming up ahead. So I might have to check the, maybe we can pull up the AWAS at Ranger Creek. See what the weather's reporting there in the valley. This is really pretty.
Seattle approach, Alaska tree is missed approach at Seattle. Alaska tree, you are 1 mile south. Climb and maintain 6,000 feet.
Yeah, blue skies to you too, Joseph. Thanks for the great comment. Yeah, I'm looking forward to them getting that Pilot Edge working in here. It'll be fun. I think I have quite a few legs in the United States, in the West, so I might try to use Pilot Edge on a few of the legs. If some of y'all have it, welcome to fly along with me. I'm using Pilot Edge, but I think most of the legs are going to be here in either VATSIM or using the default ATC. So we'll see. Alright, I'm going to need to get the cockpit lighting on here in a bit because it's going to start getting a little bit dark. So usually I think, yep, I was going to say I think that's where you, oh, that's really bright. There we go. Seems like it's just kind of bright or not bright at all. And let's see, there's dimmed. If that cloud layer is extending all the way out to Tieton State. We'll have to see.
1349er, descend and maintain 4,000 feet. Descend and maintain 4,000 feet, Alaska 1349er.
There's Mount Rainier. Wow, that thing is an impressive looking mountain.
Alaska 1349er, you are 12 miles south of Seattle. Contact Seattle Tower on 120.905 when inbound on the approach.
Alright, I'm gonna lean the mixture back some.
Alaska tree traffic is 12 o'clock, 4 miles at 3,700 feet generic. Report them in sight.
Looks like there's some traffic off our nose.
120.905 Alaska 1349er.
Get this back. Okay, there we go.
Alaska tree traffic is 2 o'clock, 1 miles at 3,700 feet generic. Report them in sight. Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha contact Seattle approach on 119.2. 119.2 for Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha. Seattle approach Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha 4,800 feet. Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha Seattle approach continue as planned. Altimeter tree 0.12.
Alright, excellent. 3012. We're about 15 miles away from Ranger Creek. Yeah, there's a some big metal heading into Seattle Tacoma International there. Very cool. I wonder if that's one of the Airbus pilots flying in. Yeah, so Ranger Creek, I think it's right down through this valley here, which is wow, it looks like a really cool creek. River heading down through here. It looked like on the sectional chart there's some ski slopes somewhere around in here too. But I believe just off the nose in this area we're gonna find Ranger Creek. And I'm not sure what altitude these planes are coming in at. It looked like that Airbus A320 wasn't too far above us, so I'm gonna keep climbing to 9,500, but we definitely need to keep our eyes out for all these aircraft coming into Seattle. It's obviously still a pretty busy time here. And we're also gonna have to keep an eye on the weather. Looks like the outside air temperature we're at 57 degrees Fahrenheit, so we're still above freezing outside. But we'll have to keep an eye out for some potential for IMC conditions ahead, it's looking like. So I'm trying to fly these with live conditions, which definitely makes it interesting, a little more fun, especially flying to some of these airports that do not have any weather reporting like Tieton State. Alright, there's some clouds.
Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha contact Seattle Center on 134.905.
Acknowledge this handoff.
134.905 Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha.
Try to keep us VFR.
Seattle Center, Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha, 6,500 feet. FlexJet 574 contact Seattle Center on 128.5. Horizon Air 2629er descend and maintain 6,100 feet. Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha Seattle Center continue as planned. Altimeter tree 0.12.
Alright.
Alaska 69er 1UR 5.
We'll turn back to the east once we get around these clouds right here. Just trying to maintain BMC conditions.
Cleared to Sunder.
But we're getting a cool view of Mount Rainier. So the sunset. Wow, this is incredible.
Descend and maintain 6,100 feet. Horizon Air 2629er. Descend and maintain 6,800 feet. Expect ILS runway tree 4 left approach via Sunder transition. Cleared to Sunder, Alaska 69er 1. Alaska 755 contact Seattle approach on 133.65. Horizon Air 2629er descend and maintain 6,000 feet. Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha traffic is 7 o'clock, 4 miles at 9,800 feet generic. Report them in sight. 133.65 for Alaska 755.
I think that's maybe the
Descend and
traffic.
maintain 6,000 feet. Horizon Air
I'm not 100%
2629er.
sure.
128.5 for FlexJet
Let's see
574.
if we can get a
Alaska
better
69er 1
view.
descend and maintain
Something about these
6,200
high wing aircraft. You can't really see the traffic that's around 7 o'clock, huh? I'm thinking that guy has got to be it.
Descend and maintain 6,200 feet. Alaska
Can't
691.
remember how close he said the
Alaska
traffic was.
69er 1 descend and maintain 6,800 feet.
4 miles. Okay, that looked like about 4 miles. I think that
Descend
he's
and
just calling the
maintain
traffic that's heading
6,400 feet.
into
Alaska
Seattle Tacoma
1177.
International, I believe. Alright, I'm going to turn us back.
Descend and maintain 6,800 feet. Alaska 69er 1.
So we had that traffic in sight. I'll let him know.
Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha have the traffic. Horizon Air 2
Get ourselves back on course here.
On 126.5. Alaska 69er 1 descend and maintain 6,100 feet. 126.5 for Horizon Air 2629er. Descend and maintain 6,100 feet. Alaska 69er 1.
Just getting a little bit of extra altitude here. We get better views of Mount Rainier, and also if we were to have some mechanical issues here in these mountains, we're going to need that extra altitude.
Seattle Center,
Buys a
Horizon
little
Air
bit of time to find a good
2629er is
landing
up
spot.
11,800 feet for 6,000 feet.
But
Alaska
I'm confident
1177
in
descend and
the
maintain 6,000 feet.
mechanical integrity of this Cessna
Horizon Air
172 in flight sim.
2629er Seattle Center continue to Sunver as planned. Altimeter tree 0.09er. Horizon Air 2629er contact Seattle approach on 126.5.
Well, the good news is we're pretty much
Descend and maintain
pointing at
6,000 feet, Alaska is 6901.
Tieton State off the nose, so I think
6,000 feet, Alaska 1177.
looks like the forecast I could interpolate. It should be VMC conditions there, and it's looking like that's going to match.
126.5 for Horizon Air
As long as
2629.
fog doesn't start forming on the Rimrock Lake right there at the edge of the runway. But if that's the case, we will just continue to an alternate airport. So, which in this case is going to be Yakima. If we can't get into Tieton State, but we should be able to. Yeah, I want to try to get us to fly right over Ranger Creek. I'm gonna go outside the aircraft really quickly just so we can take a look at some of these views. Wow, that is cool. Sun setting over the Pacific with Mount Rainier. Stars starting to shine.
Horizon Air 2681, you are 60 miles southeast. Descend and maintain 6,800 feet. Expect ILS runway
That's
34
cool.
left approach via Sunver transition. Cleared to Sunver.
Looks like there's some turbulence up here at 9,000.
Alaska 69er, 1 contact Seattle approach on 123.9er. Horizon Air 2681.
Well, I'm going to
descend
continue our
and
climb to
maintain
9,500, and then we'll see if the turbulence continues. It might take us back down to 7,500.
123.9er for Alaska is 69er 1. Horizon Air 2681, descend and maintain 6,000 feet. Descend and maintain 6,000 feet. Expect ILS runway 34 left approach via Sunver transition. Cleared to Sunver. Horizon Air 2681.
Alrighty, we're coming up on 9,500, our final cruising altitude here. GT's still looking good. They're all engine instruments. are
Seattle
good.
Center Delta 1545, 10,100 feet. Delta 1545 Seattle Center, continue as planned.
We'll keep us just a little bit to the south, of course, so that maybe we can get a good view of
Alaska
Ranger
1177
Creek.
contact
Okay, we're at a
Seattle
cruising
approach on
altitude.
120.1.
Accelerate. Let's see if I can get this. I've not tried using the autopilot yet.
120.1
Microsoft Flight
for Alaska
Simulator.
1177.
So let's see if I can get it to turn on for us. And it's going crazy. 9,500. Let's see if it'll. Oops. Can't see it. I'm just gonna turn it off for a second. I can't see the buttons. I don't have them memorized on this Cessna 172. Alright, I wanted to see if we could get a good view of Ranger Creek here, so let me get us set up for that. Alright, Ranger Creek. There it is. Right down there on the river. Very cool. And wow, what a scenic flight this is. I definitely recommend this to any of you watching. This is a route worth doing. Seattle to Tieton State. Absolutely beautiful sight. And we're only 26 miles away, so we'll just follow the road here. Should take us to Rimrock Lake.
44 descend and maintain 10,000 feet.
I'm going to take us back on course now since we got those good views of
Alaska Niner 44.
Mount Rainier. There's back right on our track. Yeah, it's a fun thing about being on a VFR flight plan though is you can just kind of fly where you want to. However, there would be some stipulations here if we were going to be flying over a national park in the U.S. So, little trivia question: how many feet above a national park or a forest service area, wildlife area, are you supposed to fly in the United States? So, many of y'all know. Go ahead and try to give it a try, give it an answer in the chat.
Alaska Niner 44, you are 10,800 feet above your assigned altitude. Descend and maintain 10,000 feet. Descend and maintain 10,000 feet, Alaska Niner 44. Seattle Center, Alaska 69er flight level 210. Horizon Air 2681, contact Seattle approach on 123.9. Alaska 69er Seattle Center, continue to Sigic as planned.
Alright, looks like the autopilot did capture us at
Horizon Air 2681.
9,500, so that's good. And I'm going to try to arm heading mode. Let's see. Alright, cool. Looks like it is holding. And looks like we haven't drifted too much from the magnetic compass either. Turbulence is picking up a bit. Let's take a look at the VFR sectional. So you want to
Alaska
see where we
69er,
are.
you are 1,800 feet below your assigned altitude. Climb and maintain flight level 210.
Alright, so we've passed Ranger Creek now. That was on our flight plan.
Climb and maintain flight level 210, Alaska
We'll add that to the
69er.
plan. So y'all can see. See, if we stayed right over Ranger Creek, you would stay outside the Mount Rainier National Park, and that was kind of a trivia question for this flight. I'll reveal the answer to that on our next leg. But how far above a national park area is designated here on this sectional chart are you required to stay? Something don't typically run into that much flying around a lot of areas, but in the West we're gonna have a lot of national parks on this world tour. So I'll have the answer ready for our next leg later on this week. As you can see, Tieton State, we're gonna have a field elevation right at about 3,000 feet. It's 2,500 foot runway. We're gonna come in on the lake and just try to make the approach straight in there, kind of a modified left base into the runway is the plan. So it's going to be pretty dark. 122.9 is the CTAF frequency. So I'm going to go ahead and get that tuned in on COM2 right now. And let's check out let's see how the GPS function, the nav function works on the autopilot now, because we have our navigation source should be GPS. Let's turning us back. We got us back on course, but we're just 122.9. And we'll listen in there. Make sure we don't hear anybody on the radio. Miles away. Let's see what the weather is at Yakima. So that is 125.25. I think it'll be quite a bit different than the other side of the mountains, but maybe we can get at least a general idea of what the weather might be.
Delta 472, you are 69er miles southeast. Climb airport information 200, expect IRS runway tree 4 left approach by Tieton transition. Visibility to tree. Sky condition, few clouds at 1,100 feet, few clouds at 4,200 feet, few clouds at 12,400 feet. Temperature, 17. Climb and maintain flight level 20, altitude expect ILS runway tree 4 left approach by Tieton runway 27, Delta 472. Landing and departing runway 27. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Quebec. Yakima Airport information Romeo 0300 Zulu. Wind calm. Visibility, tree. Sky condition, few clouds at 1,100 feet, few clouds at 4,200 feet, few clouds at 12,400 feet. Temperature, 17. Dew point, 10. Altimeter 29.9. Visual runway 27 in use. Landing and departing runway 27. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Romeo.
Alright.
Yaki.
That's on the other side of the mountains. I'm going to go ahead and cancel VFR flight following because we are getting pretty close.
Seattle Center, Cessna 5
About 10
Romeo
miles
Alpha,
out.
cancel flight following.
Cessna 5 Romeo Alpha Seattle Center cancellation received. Squawk 1200. Frequency change approved.
Alright, and we're going to Tieton State. We're 2 to traffic on 122.9, and we're going to be landing on runway 3. So it'll be a full stop landing.
4 Sierra 6 traffic Cessna November 215 Romeo Alpha 10 miles northwest 9,500 feet inbound to land runway tree.
Alright, there's Mount Adams down there to the south. We'll be flying by Mount Adams and Mount St. Helens, and our next leg headed out toward Portland. Look at that, it's like a blood moon. That is so cool. That is incredible out there. That looks really eerie. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and set in we're gonna go ahead and descend down to 7,500 feet for now. The mountain peaks in front of us. Let's turn vertical speed mode on. There it goes. Mountain peaks in front of us go down to 6,800, or go up to 6,800 feet. So we should have plenty of clearance if we only got down to 7,500. Pattern altitude is going to be at 4,000 feet. So we'll get pattern altitude when we're over the Rimrock Lake. And let me pull up the sectional chart. Go really quickly so you can get a little overview once again before we head into this area here. So, like you see, yeah, 6,835 feet. That's going to be the mountain peak right as we get to the lake. I might go a little bit to the south and west, of course, just to give us more of a straight-in approach to the runway. And it's going to be runway 3, so kind of to the northeast there. It's going to be an interesting approach. Stars are out. Okay. So we're only 4 miles away from the airport now. Go ahead and start slowing us a bit. Looks like we're coming up on the lake. I'm going to disconnect the autopilot. Oops, not that. What did I just do that for? It's supposed to be 1200. Whoops. 1200. Or I could hit the VFR button. Alright, autopilot off. There we go. I'm going to take us out over the lake down here. That's kind of where I was aiming for. That way we can descend into the below the mountains. So if you descend too early, you're setting yourself up for some serious trouble here, based on what I could see from the sectional chart. And also I checked out the Tieton State Airfield on airnav.com before I took this trip. That's a great place to check out airports, especially here in the US. I'm not sure if they cover aircraft at international destinations, but I was able to get a pretty good idea of where we're going here, going into Tieton State. So let's go ahead and run our descent checklist. Power is desired. Mixture, adjust. Altimeter settings check. Nav GPS switch set. Fuel selector both. Flaps as desired. And then on landing, let's go ahead. For landing, pilot passenger seat backs are set. Seatbelts are set. Fuel selectors both. Mixture rich. Taxi and landing lights on. Autopilot's off. And landing, we're looking for flaps full down and approach at 60 knots. We'll go ahead and take us on our turn here over the lake. Try to keep it at 30 degrees bank or less. Landing with the blood moon off the end of the... kind of setting in the mountains now. That is so cool. Alright, we got our lights on here. Turn the taxi lights on too. And might as well turn on our glare shield lights. Alright, so the runway is it's runway 3, and it's going to be down in this area here. So I'm going to kind of hug this far southern bank, and we need to lose a little more. Pretty much at pattern altitude now. I just need to get us slowed down. So I'm going to slow down and then we're going to go down. Slow down, get configured, and then we'll go down. Alright. I'm going to get us full flaps. There's your second notch. And the final notch of flaps. And we're just going to approach here at 60 to 70 knots. And we're just going to be very careful. We'll get the heading bug over on our runway heading, just so we have that as a reference here. And there's the airport. Just enough light left to make out the runway here. So here we go. And Tieton State traffic, Cessna 215, Romeo Alpha, final runway 3, Tieton State. Strike. Alright. Wow, what a sight. A lot of stars out here. And we will, let's go down here to the end. Go ahead and raise our flaps. Make sure I'm keeping the nose off the ground. I have full the elevator all the way back. And we'll just park over here in the grass. And I think we'll be good to go. Get a nice view of the sunset out over the mountains in the Pacific there. Set our parking brake. And we don't need the strobe, we don't need the landing light or taxi light anymore. I'm going to go ahead and shut us down. Mixtures at cutoff, beacon off, magneto's off, and I'm gonna turn the alternator off here. And let me run through the checklist before I turn the lights off in the cockpit. So after landing, flaps are up, landing lights off, taxi lights off, strobes off, elevator trim. I'm gonna get that set back to neutral, which it is. And I forgot to turn the transponder back on the standby. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. And parking check, parking brake set, transponder off, avionics off, engine idle, magneto's cut off test, which I didn't do. I'll do it tomorrow though when we do our next leg. So thanks for joining. VRF Simmer here. Hope you enjoyed that fun flight from Seattle to Tieton State. We'll get out of here in the daylight hours when we can see the runway and the mountains around. We got in just with enough light to see the runway, but it'll be a good night of camping out here. I'm going to turn off all the lights in the aircraft, and thanks for joining. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel VRF Simmer, like Facebook page or Instagram, and love to have some of you join along on flights here in Flight Simulator. I'll be trying to make it to where you can always join if you'd like to. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you again in the skies soon.